I feel like I'm going to give this speech a dozen times before this project is over, but my chosen format really doesn't work well with certain things. Creating daily videos doesn't mesh well with long games that have similar gameplay throughout. So RPGs and strategy games are going to get the short end of the stick with this. Usually I have enough time to record about an hour of footage that I then edit down. But for these 8-bit RPGs, the first hour of gameplay is going to be grinding out levels right around the starting area. Which is why I played about 3 hours of Dragon Quest II. And even with that, I've barely scratched the surface of this game. If you're interested enough in 8-bit Japanese games that you're watching this, then you're already aware that Dragon Quest is one of the cornerstone franchises in Japan. That said, the first Dragon Quest performed well, but not spectacularly. That was enough to get it a sequel, and it's Dragon Quest II where things really took off. There were 2.4 million copies sold on the Famicom, and that made it the 6th best-selling Famicom game of all time. And it's a bit of a match set with the original Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest I laid out how gameplay would work for JRPGs. Dragon Quest II laid out how the genre would work. There's actually a story to Dragon Quest II. The game has a subtitle, Akuryo no Kamigami, which would roughly be the gods of the devils. The story, as you initially set out, is that you're a valiant prince and your father sends you to defeat an evil wizard. But first you have to get help from your cousins. While you're only good at hitting things with a sword, they have magical abilities that will help. You start out alone, and you won't be strong enough to even make it to the first town, so you'll have to just walk around in a circle for a while beating up monsters. You do this until you're strong enough to reach the second castle, and there you encounter another improvement in Dragon Quest II. You no longer have to go back to your home castle to save. Any of the kings will give you a password that you can enter to continue. That's different from the US version where it used a battery backup. At that castle, you get on the trail of your cousin and head over to this dungeon, but he's already moved on. The dungeons are more involved now too. You no longer have to have a light spell or a torch, but there are individual rooms. And there's people in them that you talk to. Here you find out that your cousin went to your castle, but when you get there, you find out he went on to the next town. And then finally, you get your second party member. Multiple party members and parties of enemies is another big change in Dragon Quest II. Having multiple party members opens up the combat system to allow for a bit more tactics. Your cousin doesn't hit nearly as hard as you do, but he has magic that he can use. You have to be careful about targeting too, because you won't switch which group you're targeting if it dies before you attack. So after doing a little bit of grinding to have enough cash to buy some equipment, the next dungeon gets you a key that will open up silver doors. And that's where I had to stop. You just can't earn money very quickly in Dragon Quest II, and anything past your starting equipment is extremely expensive. We're talking grind for 45 minutes so that you can buy the next level of weapon. Adding party members to Dragon Quest II required another new feature. If they fall in battle, you then have to haul their coffin around behind you. You take that to a priest in one of the towns or castles, and then you can have them revived. Perhaps the most infamous thing about Dragon Quest II in Japan are the passwords. They actually start out small, 2 lines of 10 characters each. But as you progress in the game, they become longer and longer. The passwords max out at 52 characters. This was an enormous problem for players, and in response, Nintendo began developing options to store save game data in RAM that was maintained by a battery. It wasn't the first time this was done, even by Nintendo, but this time it will stick, and extensive passwords like in Dragon Quest II will become the rare exception. As one of the most popular games ever made, Dragon Quest II got re-released a lot. Usually it's packaged with Dragon Quest I since that game is so short. In the end, Dragon Quest II is the best 8-bit RPG yet. It's got a much more expansive world, the gameplay systems are improved and more refined, you've got better monsters, the dungeons are improved, the world's better, there's an actual story. Even after all of that, though, it's still just an 8-bit RPG. And that means constant grinding and an enemy encounter rate that makes going even a short distance a long haul. You've got to have patience to be willing to play this one today. It's still a huge step up from Dragon Quest I, though. Even if they did lose the background in the combat scenes. Of course, that's removing Dragon Quest II from its historical context. Maybe the most significant thing about the game is that it set the stage for Dragon Quest to become the phenomenon. And that's what we're going to see the next time I reach one of these games.